Salutations! Hello! Once you've decided you're going to start dreadlocks, there's a question that must be asked. Am I going to start the dreadlocks myself with the help of some friends? Or am I going to go to a salon, to a loctician, to a professional? There can be arguments made for both sides. There are pros and cons to both sides, and we're going to discuss those today! Okay, so the methods that I normally talk about are the backcomb and the twist and rip method. Those tend to be the most popular methods, and both of those can be learnt using the magic of the internet, using YouTube. The methods themselves are not all that complicated, so it's quite easy to just sit down and watch a few tutorials and pretty much get either of them down. And that opens up the possibilities of people starting their own dreadlocks, either on their friends or on themselves, although I do recommend having a friend help you if you are going to start your dreadlocks at home, because, you know, it's not all that easy to section your whole head. So the upsides of starting the dreadlocks yourself, amateur dreadlocks. Mainly it's free. It's only going to cost you the cost of your friend's time, which hopefully if you're good friends, good enough friends to let them play with your hair for 7 hours or something close to that, then hopefully that time is not going to cost a whole lot. And maybe it will cost you the cost of a backcombing brush. So it's pretty much free. You're also very heavily involved in the creation of your own dreadlocks, so you get to really understand the process, and if you need to redo something or, you know, do your friend's dreadlocks, you'll have gained a skill, you will have understood what's going on there, and that's always good. Learning. Some people also really just enjoy being a part of their own dreadlock creation process, especially if you start it with some good friends, because you'll know, you know, these dreadlocks were started by my friends, and it's a personal thing to people. You will also have complete control over whatever's going on. You will have complete control over the method used and whether any products are used, because, you know, you're doing it yourself. Downsides to amateur dreadlocks. Downsides. They're amateur. So while the techniques themselves are relatively simple and simple enough to pick up through YouTube, there is still skill there, there's still technique. You will notice that the first ones that you twist and rip, or the first ones that you backcomb, will differ from the last ones because you will have gained some technique. You will have changed slightly how you do it because you'll have repeated over and over again. You will have had a lot of practice. Not everyone is going to be confident enough to let your friends treat your head as a guinea pig, you know, to learn on your head. It takes a bit of bravery, you know, to entrust the dreadlock creation to someone who's never done it before, because they might not do it very well. I mean, backcombing and twist and ripping, it's not going to destroy your hair if you mess it up. You can take them out and start over, but most people want to get it right the first time because it's not the most pleasant thing to have to go through multiple times, especially if it also involves having to take them out and restart. It's not fun. Downsides also include convincing your friends to do it. It's gonna take a lot of time, and if they're not as into the dreadlocks as you are, then it might not work so well. People have different situations, and sometimes friends are reluctant to let other friends dreadlock their hair, so unless they're as committed to it as you are, you might not want to involve them in the creation process, because it does require a reasonable amount of concentration for a pretty lengthy amount of time. So what about the other side? What about professional created dreadlocks? Well, in the name you're getting a professional. You're getting someone who has hopefully created many sets of dreadlocks before, and so there will be no trial and error in the creation of the dreadlocks. They will be consistent. This dreadlock will look like this dreadlock. And although they might change over time, because, you know, you are just starting the dreadlocks, there's still the maturation process, you should hopefully be starting out from the best possible position. They're also going to have skills that you can't easily pick up from YouTube videos. So you're going to watch a YouTube video where someone's having dreadlocks created. They might have different hair to you. The results that you see on the video may differ from the results that you see when you try it yourself. Hopefully a professional is going to have the experience to know which techniques to use where, and maybe they will also know some more complicated techniques that you may not be brave enough to do on your own hair just from picking up from a video. Hopefully after spending all this time with the professional, you will also get to know them a little bit, so if later down the line you need some maintenance or some help with something, you will know who to call, because, you know, you'll have sat with them for a long period of time. You should probably know them at least a little bit by then. And if it was a positive experience, then, you know, you should be confident enough to lean on them in the future if you require it. The downsides of a professional creating your dreadlocks, well, it's going to cost a lot of money. Getting a salon haircut is not always the cheapest thing. Can you imagine how much it would cost if it took 7 hours for them to cut your hair? That's a whole day's worth of work. It's going to cost a lot, and the variation in prices is huge. huge depending on who's going to create them, but they're all up there. They're a fairly expensive thing. It evens out because you're no longer have to pay for semi-regular haircuts after that point, but it's a lot to lay out at one time. I think one of the main downsides, one of the main things that causes salons to get a sort of bad rap is that they will often do things that maybe you don't want doing to your hair. When you go to a salon and you pay a lot of money for dreadlocks, a lot of people will expect instant results. You know, you pay this amount of money, you expect dreadlocks. And not everyone understands that it's a process that takes months and months and months. So if someone pays a salon X amount of money and within 2 weeks the dreadlocks look like, well, how 2-week-old dreadlocks actually look, they may not be too happy with that and go back and complain, and then the salon doesn't look so good because it doesn't look like they know how to create dreadlocks, but it's really the person not understanding the process. So this leads a lot of salons to use waxes and gels and products to hold the dreadlocks together, and so that they look more like dreadlocks from the start, and then it's only months later that people can really start to experience the negative side effects from this. Which leads me on to how you pick your professional, which is probably the most important part. You should pick wisely who is going to create the dreadlocks. With a professional, I would really look into finding past works of theirs. So if they have a website, check out, see if they have any pictures of people that they've created dreadlocks on, see if that is something that you'd want done to your hair. If they have a Facebook page, they might have pictures there, but even better, you might be able to see interactions between customers, people who have hopefully had positive experiences from that person. I would recommend asking questions. Make sure you know the techniques they use, whether they use any products, use any tools. Then you take that information, you go home, you look up those techniques, you look up those tools, you look up those products, and make sure that you are 100% happy with having those done to your hair. If you're not, then hopefully you'll be able to go to that person and say, look, I don't want this product, or I don't want this tool, or I don't want this particular method, and hopefully they'll be able to work with you a little bit there, because dreadlocks are a long-term commitment and you really don't want to be going into them using something on your hair that you're going to be unhappy with down the line. It's just not what you want. So do plenty of research, ask lots of questions, make sure you get exactly what you want, make sure you get, you know, what you pay for. So those are my pros and cons of salon dreadlocks versus amateur dreadlocks. Both have their merits. Both have their ups and downs. You can improve the results of both by doing plenty of research. Make sure you know exactly what you're doing, make sure you know exactly what you're getting into. Make sure anyone involved also knows the same, so whether that's a friend or a professional, make sure you're happy with the commitment that the friend is going to put in. Make sure you're happy with the commitment that the professional is going to put in. If you have any questions regarding salon dreadlocks, amateur dreadlocks, my dreadlocks, myself, anything that you'd like to ask, you can leave in the comments section to this video. I'd like to ask you, if you have dreadlocks, did you start them yourself with friends, or did you go to a professional? Was your experience a positive one or a negative one? What would you do differently next time? Let me know in the comment section. You can get involved on the Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/lazydreads. And as always, all my stuff is on lazydreads.com. Thumbs up if you like this video, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope to see you soon in future videos. Thank you for watching. Farewell!